Hello, everybody. My name is Maria. I'm here with a new podcast episode of Self-Talk Body Soul. Today, I want to talk about a very, very important book that came into my life about a year and a half ago now, that, as the title suggests, started everything. And by everything, I mean my really major life transformations. And it just helped me to see how everything in my life has a cause and effect, and everything that happens in our life is systematic. It's not random. Everything has a reason behind it, and it is such an important book. I wish it was in English so that everyone could read it. Well, everyone, by everyone I mean a big chunk of the world. At the moment it is translated into many other languages, but the author is Russian, so the book is in Russian. So if you understand Russian, I highly recommend reading it. But if not, that is why I am here today, to tell you about this book. The title of the book in Russian, it is called Покаяние, which means, directly translated into English, repentance or confession, would also be another word. The interesting thing about the title of the book is, in Russian, this word actually you can break it down into 4 different words, which is покаяние, which then translates into while I am not myself. So it's a really interesting title of the book, and both of these meanings are very crucial in terms of what this book is about. But let me tell you first a little bit about the author himself. So his name is Dmitry Trotsky, and for the best part of his life he was a palm reader and a psychologist. But at some point, I think he was around 30, by that point he saw probably tens of thousands of people's hands, and he saw how their lives were. He started noticing different patterns and systems in everyone's lives. Looking at people's palms, of course, he could see where their life would go, and then, depending on what these people were doing, their lives would change. And then he started just observing that, and he, with all these observations and his own personal journey, he realized that there is a universal system that works for everyone in terms of how the life works and how you can take control of it, basically. And the reason I really decided to speak about this book today is because again and again I find myself proving to myself that the things that he talks about in this book, they work. They freaking work. And it's sometimes annoying because you wish it was a bit, easier. Well, easier for the ego sometimes, and easier for our lazy bodies. But unfortunately or fortunately, it works. You can really use this knowledge, to transform your life. I would say in this book there is 3 main parts that he talks about. The first one is his system that he called Matryoshka. Matryoshka is a Russian doll that is made of multiple dolls. If you've never seen it, it's like it's made of, usually it's wooden, and there's about, I don't know how many there are, maybe 7 or something dolls that are one inside another, like a layer system. And the reason he called it like that is because the system that he developed is made up of layers, so it's quite a good representation. The Matryoshka itself is a good representation of this system. And by peeling off or taking off layer by layer by layer, you get more and more into the core. And the core itself may represent many different things, either the core of the problem that you're solving, or the core of yourself that you're trying to get to and get to know, or the core of life itself. It can represent whatever you want. So let's say you have some kind of problem in your life. Let's say you're struggling with money. Then you look at the system that he has developed, and starting from the very top layer, which is, as he says, the most important layer, you keep peeling things off. And the very topmost layer is called the body. So the idea is that the whole system that he has developed is based on the idea of responsibility and duty. So the responsibility or the duty that we all have towards our bodies is to care for the body. I don't know how much you're into sort of the idea of the soul or the divine, whatever, but the reality is you came to this life and you have a body. Whether you associate yourself with the body or you believe that you are more than the body and the body has been given to you to be and exist in this life form, either way, it is your responsibility and solely your responsibility to take care of it. And the idea is that when you don't take responsibility for it, if you keep it unhealthy, if you keep it unclean, in all respects, it's not just about the physical body as well, it's also the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body. If you don't take that responsibility, that is the base of your life. And if you don't take care of that, nothing else will come about in your life. Nothing more, rather, will come about in your life. You might have a job, you might have a place to live, but you will never be able to break through that sort of glass ceiling that you have, that is basically the barrier between you and where you want to be in your life. And this is the very, very first step that we can all look at and honestly tell ourselves, am I taking full responsibility for my body, for my existence here on this planet? Am I, having a shower every day or every other day at least? Am I cleaning my teeth? Am I brushing my hair? Am I cleaning my clothes? And also, in terms of your body, you can also look at it from slightly extended perspective, meaning that your body also extends to the space that you live in. So it can be your home, your room, or even the place, if you work, in an office or whatever, even the place where you work, wherever you are, basically your nearby surrounding where you spend a lot of time, that is also you, but just extended you. And so if you don't make your bed in the morning, every morning, if you don't hoover regularly, if you leave dirty dishes in the sink, if you don't clean your clothes regularly, it is all these things, they become like stagnation points that will simply not allow you to move forward into the next level of the life, towards the life that you want to live. When I first started reading this book and then I started reading about the other layers of Matryoshka beyond this body one, and even including the body one, I started having these thoughts of not defensive, but in a way I guess I could say defensive. But then I realized it's my life. I'm not making anyone else worse but myself by not doing these things, by not taking care of my body. Nobody else is suffering but me. And if there is a chance that my success in my life depends on the very first level, it depends on how much I care for myself and my space, then why don't I do it? And that is, I think, the really important thing to take from this book, that, you can agree with it, you can disagree with it, but the reality is, if you notice that some of the things that he mentions in this book, if some of these things you're not quite responsible for, rather you're not taking the responsibility for, then you can say, oh, this is all bullshit, and not really follow through with any of this and continue as you are. Or you can say, well, if there's a chance that my life depends on these things, why don't I make that better? Because the reality is all these things are related to you anyway. So by making these aspects of your life better, you're not going to be left any worse than you are now. You're actually going to be left better. If you are into spirituality from perspective of the soul and the divine, you can also look at this as, think of God, universe, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, as giving you, it's like a video game, you have to pass levels before you move on to the next level. If God, divine, your higher self, whatever, gives you the responsibility of yourself and you don't pass this level, you simply cannot go on further. It's like a credit in a bank. If the bank gives you a certain amount of money to borrow and you don't either pay it back on time, or you don't pay it back at all, or you don't put the money that it has given you towards the project that you told the bank you will put it towards, then the bank, whenever you come to it and you say, oh, I want more money, the bank will just say, no, bugger off, because you weren't responsible with it when we first given it to you. Why should we give it now? So in a way, it is your chance to really prove to, well, if not any of the higher things, maybe you don't believe in, it's a chance for you to prove to yourself that you can be responsible. But yes, if you do believe into, the divine and the higher self and the God, then think of it as proving yourself to that entity, to the universe, to that, the universe giving you all these like different levels that you can pass. And if you pass one, you can move on to the next one. Or if you don't like any of the above metaphors, think of it as a child and an adult. Until a child grows up and you as an adult see that they are responsible enough with anything, let's say even the same problem, the money. If you see that the child isn't responsible with the money, you won't give it more money because they don't know how to use it. And that is exactly the same as we're adults. We unfortunately, most adults are still children inside. The universe, you can see it as a loving mother that simply doesn't want to give more responsibility than the child can take, pretty much. And coming back to the point of why I decided to record this podcast today, because I noticed yet again, I've noticed how much it affects my life. For the last couple of months, I've been at home a lot. Well, now because of lockdown, but also before I was ill and I was at home a lot. And I'm really quite stagnating in terms of my finances at the moment. And I was trying to think again into this matryoshka and think, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And then I realized that some days I'm really good with my routines. Some days I have my shower in the morning, I have my yoga session, I meditate, I, brush my teeth, I do my hair, I put my clothes on, as in I always put my clothes on, but I meant, good, nice clothes on. If I'm planning to work today, then I'm putting nice clothes on, not home clothes. As in, cozy, snuggly clothes. And my diet is good. What I mean by my diet is good is, I eat healthy, I eat consistently, I hydrate enough and things like that. But then some days I really freaking suck at all of these things. Sometimes I don't have a shower. Sometimes I don't stretch in the morning. And on the days when there is multiple things that I haven't done, that day sucks so much. I don't know why it works like that, but if I really analyze my days, I really see that pattern coming up again and again. If I do all the things that I must do for my health and well-being and the well-being of my surrounding and my body, then my day, doesn't matter what else happens in that day, but it's just better. And on the days when I fail to do some of these things, my day is it feels like it's not complete. And I think I'm not going to go into any more of the matryoshka today from the book than this, because I think this is so important. And I think this is something that probably 95 to 99% of people in the world don't really have dialed. And the reality is, if you look at successful people in the world, and by successful, I don't mean just people that have a lot of money. I mean successful in overall successful and happy. They are the people that have their routines. They are the people that make sure they take care of themselves and their surrounding. A lot of these people have their, morning meditations and self-care routines. And I think this is a very important habit to develop. And that's another important point that I want everyone to take away from this, including myself, that this is a habit. It is something that we develop. Nobody's born like this, and it's, especially if you haven't been brought up in a family where, you've had these habits from the beginning. This is going to be really hard work. But I promise, from my personal experience, I promise it's worth it and it works. So I really can't stress enough how important it is to really get into resonance with this idea that taking care and taking responsibility for yourself, for your environment, your body, your mind, your emotions, like making sure you do the cleaning and the managing of all this, that will get you where you want to be in life. This is so important. And it's actually, a lot of people talk about this idea anyway. This is just me bringing you the same idea that we hear over and over again from yet another source, and digesting it in a different way. And I hope that it will resonate with you and it will improve your life. So maybe I will leave you with a little task for today. In the evening or in the morning, whenever you want really, write down, take a piece of paper, take a pen, and write down your daily habits. It's best actually to do in the evening as a sort of a recap of your day, because then you can really see what you did, consciously, what you actually chose to do today and what happened as a result of it with the rest of the day. So in the evening, you can sit down and you can write down how you've taken responsibility for your day today and what resulted out of it. And then if you do that for a few days, just noticing, not changing your behavior, but just noticing what happens in your life. And then after a few days, analyze what has happened. Notice some patterns, and I promise you will notice patterns. It happens 100% of the time. People notice patterns. Change something. Just take one thing out of that pattern and change that. Let's say this is one of the things you don't do in the morning. Just change that for a few days. Just start making your bed. What I suspect will happen is that as soon as you start doing that, your brain will kick into this sort of a very interesting mode whereby you will feel like you want to do other things too. Oh, I've cleaned my bed. Well, I might as well clean my clothes now, or, put them away into a closet, or hoover up, or maybe I will put some nice clean clothes on today. That will boost my mood. It's gonna kick off, I promise you. Another point with clothes that I actually wanted to make, and that I noticed with myself, is that every day, because I am at home a lot of the time, and a lot of people, that is why it's so relevant as well right now, because a lot of people are in lockdown and we spend a lot of time at home. And at home, we're used to wearing cozy clothes that we don't really care what they look like, if they are, dirty or they've got holes in them. Actually, it is so important to still get up and dress up, because it depends what you want to do with your life. But if you want to move somewhere else in terms of your career, I would recommend dressing up as that person that you want to be in your life during the day. Maybe you are currently working on developing your own business online or elsewhere, it doesn't matter. For that time when you're working on your laptop or whatever, even if you're at home, dress up, because your mentality will work differently when you're dressed in different clothes that make you feel better. If you're wearing tracksuit bottoms that have holes in them and a coffee stain, and you're trying to make a business plan, it ain't gonna work. I'm sorry, but it's just not. There is something about it psychologically that just doesn't make it work as well as if you were dressed properly. So make that effort to change your behavior, therefore changing your habits, and therefore changing your life. It is worth it, because your life is worth it. And I think I will end it here today, because I don't really want my podcast to be too long, and I want some of the really important things to really stay in everyone's minds, including myself. I'm using this as a reminder for myself of how important all of this is. I'm really intrigued to, if you will implement this in your life, to get some feedback, because I've tested this on myself and other people in my life, and it works, and I want to know if it will work for you. So do share it with me on Instagram, or personally if you know me personally, or on YouTube in the comment section. But do share it with me. Let's make this world a better place by making ourselves better. Right, I will see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful rest of the day and the week and the month and the year. Bye bye.